Jacob really likes Joseph.
And Benjamin's the baby.
Yeah, and he makes all these. Jacob or Joseph has the ability to have dreams, and so he has this dream and tells the brothers that he has a dream that they're going to bow down to him, and it makes them so mad they throw him in a well to kill him. And then the one brother said, "Oh, let's not kill him. Let's sell him to the Ishmaelites who are going by on a caravan." So, again, Abraham's people, but this tribes of Ishmael, and they're on their way to Egypt. So they sell him off to the Ishmaelites, and they take him to Egypt. Well, he goes to Egypt and becomes great there. He becomes like next to the Pharaoh of importance.
Servant to Pharaoh's second in command. I think.
Yeah, he's managing. He's managed to save grain and manage his farming well, so that Egypt is really wealthy when this famine hits. And the famine hits, and Jacob, Israel, sends these brothers down to Egypt to go see if they can get some food or something for them. And they run into Joseph, except they don't know it's Joseph. So, in this chapter 37, verses 5 to 11, is where he has this dream, and he gets sold, and
that's a good dream, though.
Yeah.
It's the dream that the sheaves of wheat, 11 of them, bow down to him.
Right. And that happens in chapter 42, verse 6 is one of them. Now Joseph was governor over the land. He was the one who sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brothers came and bowed themselves before him with their faces to the ground. And there's his dream, which he told him that in his dream, he saw these brothers bowing down to him, and they got so furious, but that's exactly what happened. Verse 41, chapter 41, 1 through 57, I went backwards, talks about that famine and how all that happened. But in 42:6 is where they did bow down to him. So, let's see, every page 30. So, Joseph ends up going back home with all of his wealth and his family, and everybody's reunited, and they're one big happy family now. But they get home, and in chapter 49, Jacob is now in his last days, and he gathers all of the 12 sons to give them their final blessing. Reuben is the firstborn, and he was commended with the description, "My might, the first sign of my strength, excelling in honor, excelling in power." That's in verse 3. He further praise of Reuben, however, was cut short by the fact that he had defiled his father's bed. As Jacob expressed it, "Turbulent as the waters, you will no longer excel, for you went up onto your father's bed, onto my couch, and defiled it." And he's referring to Reuben's adultery with Jacob's concubine Bilhah in chapter 35, verse 22. And though Reuben was the firstborn and who would normally receive the double inheritance and be given the place of leadership, he's not going to receive that because of this horrible thing that he did. So then he moves to Simeon and Levi, and they were characterized as being violent with the sword and having killed men in their anger. That's in verse 6. They were both guilty of anger, ferocity, and cruelty, and Jacob predicted that they would be scattered throughout the land in verse 7.
Which two was that?
Simeon and Levi.
Okay.
And remember, Levi's where the priest came from, but how horrible.
Yeah.
So Judah is the next one, and That's a very important tribe. I won't get ahead of myself. Jacob predicted that Judah would triumph over his enemies and be strong like a lion in verses 8 and 9. The most significant prophecy given was that the scepter, referring to the future Messiah, would come from this tribe of Judah. Jacob predicted the scepter will not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, until he comes to whom it belongs, and the obedience of the nation is his. This was fulfilled in Christ in Revelation 2:27, Revelation 12:5, and Revelation 19:15, and clearly refers to Christ coming from the family of David, which is a part of the tribe of Judah. Zebulun, the next son, Jacob predicted will live by the seashore and become a haven for ships. His border will extend toward Sidon. That's in verse 13. And though Zebulun would not actually be bordered on the sea, it would be near enough so that they would be benefit by seaborne trade. And then Issachar is the next one. And he says he's a raw-boned donkey lying down between two saddlebags. So that's a great way to describe your child. It says that he's pictured in verse 15 as submitting to forced labor. So he doesn't have a very cheery future ahead of him. Next one is Dan. And Dan will provide justice for his people. Dan will be a serpent by the roadside, a viper along the path that bites the horse's heels so that its riders tumble backwards. The name Dan means a judge, implying fair and equal justice. Instead of that, Dan is described as a snake that bites at the horse's heels, resulting in the rider tumbling off his horse. This implies that Dan does not live up to the expectation of his name, and some believe the fact that idolatry appeared first among the sons of Jacob in the tribe of Dan, and that was the reason for this. It references Judges chapter 18, verse 30. The tribe of Dan is also admitted in the description of the 144,000 of Israel in Revelation 7, verses 4 to 8, implying that it was not an outstanding tribe. Jacob inserted a plea for God's deliverance before continuing his prophecy, saying, I look for your deliverance, O Lord. As Jacob contemplated the difficulties that the tribes of Israel would encounter, he recognized that only God could deliver. Gad is the next son, and he says Gad will be attacked by a band of raiders, but he will attack them at their heels. The name Gad means attack, and there is a play on words where Gad the attacker is attacked. But the prophecy indicates that Gad will counterattack. This surprise attacks from enemies were common, and the prophecy may refer to 1 Chronicles 5, verses 18 to 19. Next son is Asher. It says Asher's food will be rich. He will provide delicacies fit for a king. Asher his tribe was assigned land that was located in an area of Canaan with rich soil, able to provide much food, and possibly the prediction relates to this. The next son is Naphtali. Naphtali is a doe set free that bears beautiful fawns. In verse 21, the tribe of Naphtali settled northwest of the Sea of Galilee in a mountainous area and is pictured here like a deer that is free. Deborah, a judge later in the Bible, in her song pictured both the people of Zebulun and Naphtali as risking their lives on the heights of the field, and that's Judges 5, verse 18. So they're up in the mountains. Then we get to Joseph, and it says Joseph is a fruitful vine near a spring whose branches climb over a wall. Joseph is pictured as a fruitful vine in keeping with the meaning of his son Ephraim's name, which means fruitful. Jacob predicted that Joseph would be attacked. With bitterness, archers attacked him. They shot at him with hostility, but his bow remained steady. His strong arm stayed limber because the hand of the mighty one of Jacob, because of the shepherd, the rock of Israel, because of your father's God who helps you, because the Almighty who blesses you with blessings from the heavens above, blessings of the deep that lies below, blessings of the breast and womb. Joseph is pictured as strong and able to defend himself against all attacks because he is under the blessing of God. Jacob went on, your father's blessings are greater than the blessings of the ancient mountains, than the bounty of the age-old hills. Let all these rest on the head of Joseph, on the brow of the prince among his brothers. The extensive prophecies concerning Joseph indicate Jacob's particular interest and concern for him, and Jacob predicted great blessings on Joseph in the midst of his brethren. Then, lastly, we get to Benjamin. Benjamin is a ravenous wolf. In the morning he devours the prey. In the evening he divides the plunder. Benjamites were great warriors and are here described as being powerful like a wolf. Jacob predicted bad as well as good, and his prophecies were accurate in reference to his son. And then after following this prophecy, he breathed his last. And so
I got them all written down too.
Yeah. So
I have a really nice map in my book that shows it's the kingdom of Israel and Judah, and it shows where all of the sons of Israel live.
yeah, I've got one that breaks it out by tribe. Each tribe is listed in a different color.
Oh, I wish mine was in a different color. I have to go look for them.
Let me look.
Like, who's the one that lived by the sea? Zebulun. He's up here. He's actually.
Mine are all different colors here.
He's actually. Oh, that's so nice.
Who you wanting to look for?
Well, I just was saying, like, up here, Zebulun lives between.
Yeah, Zebulun's right here. This little yellow
Mount
one.
Carmel and the River Kishon, and the Sea of Cherith, which is the Sea of Galilee.
Yeah, Zebulun's here. This little yellow landlocked piece.
Yeah. And then Issachar's near him, and Asher's near him, and Naphtali's near him. Who's Manasseh?
Well, we're going to... Ephraim, we just read, was Joseph's offspring.
Okay.
So I asked this question when we get into assigning the land.
Mm-hmm.
The Levites didn't get land because they were priests.
Okay.
And yet they gave out, so there were 10 tribes, and yet they kept telling the 12 tribes. So these two sons of Joseph end up getting share 11 and 12. That's his double portion.
Okay.
Is I think it's Manasseh and Ephraim are Joseph's sons, and they get that piece. You can see they get, this is all West Manasseh. If you look at your map, way up here, this is East Manasseh, West Manasseh, and then Ephraim. So they got a huge piece of it.
Yeah.
And this is all Simeon's down here. This is Simeon, and there's Judah.
Yeah. Judah's in dark print in mine. That's interesting.
And then this Edom, as we just met, is Esau's descendants. I mean, they're right here, butted up against you.
Yeah, below the Dead Sea.
Yeah, and Reuben's right here. So, these Moabites and the Edomites, again, there's no wonder they're fighting.
Yeah.
So that's almost perfect. That's 5 till 7. We finished the book of Genesis. So we're ready to move on to the book of Exodus for lesson 3.
Good job.
So that is all, people. Have a good evening.